How to get lean, starting at 25% body fat in 3 simple steps. Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Diamonds. I'm a scientist and I majored in biochemistry and microbiology and a medical doctor. I'm also the founder of Sculpt by Science. I've been at that 25 to 30% body fat range a few times, and I know exactly how to get the results that I want. In 2017, that was my first time that I started roughly at that 30% body fat range and got all the way to 12%. I did a dirty bulk in 2018, and I did it again and repeated this process in 2019, 2020, 2021, and finally in 2024, where I became a professional natural bodybuilder. People always ask, did I do it on purpose? I went through bulking and cutting so that I could become a bodybuilder and a professional one at that. Each and every single year, I improved on my research and I improved the process to make it as easy as possible. I then used all of that data that I used on myself with science and built Sculpt by Science to help people achieve the same results and making it sustainable. Look at my client Don, 53 years young, and he achieved this in 16 weeks. He went from 25% to 7% body fat. And that's not a random arbitrary number. That's according to his DEXA scan. His wife Kathy joined the program too and lost 13.4 pounds just like that. I'm gonna share with you the 3 simple steps I've done with Don and Kathy, taking them from that 25% body fat range and finally getting them lean. After you watch this video, you're going to know exactly what it will take and what you need to do to finally get lean and even go beyond that. Let's not waste any time and dive straight in.
Do you guys remember what your starting weight was when you joined us?
Yeah, mine was 140 or 142.
Amazing.
I was almost 218 and then got down all the way down to 172. And then now we're just adding some muscle back.
Incredible.
What would you say was your favorite part about working with us in general?
I don't know. It's absolutely wonderful to have such a coaching support resource for it, whether it's a message away or anything else, to whether it's adjusting a workout or adjusting a meal plan or swapping out some foods for something that we liked better or anything. It was just very personalized. It certainly is not a one size fits all, and you have to adapt your personal thing to the program. The program definitely adapts to be personalized to each individual.
It was all of it. You guys were just, I don't know, just so motivating for me when I had a couple bad days in there. Like, I just literally had to reach out, and it was like, you've got this, and just all the coaching you did. Obviously doing it with Don was amazing for me.
So step 1, nutritional biochemistry. What is common that I see today is that people are severely under eating. Everyone has been exposed to this caloric deficit. Caloric deficit is all you hear. But with that being said, people are compromising their metabolism as a result because they're cutting their calories way too low. So to fix this, myself and Dr. Zeno took Don and Kathy slightly below their maintenance, slightly below their total daily energy expenditure. So Don started the program at 2,203 calories. His protein was 209 grams of protein. We gave 20% of his total calories towards fat at 52 grams of fat, and the remaining towards carbs at 224 grams of carbs. In the first week, he gained weight, but this is normal. Remember, for every gram of carb, you hold 3 mLs of water. And usually people freak out at seeing their weight gain, but it's important to give your body the exact nutritional biochemistry it needs. With Kathy, Dr. Zeno gave the exact same thing and jump-started her metabolism at 1603 calories. That was 118 grams of protein, 192 grams of carbs, and 40 grams of fat. Don't be afraid of eating more in the beginning. The idea here is we're going to be working on this for the next 4 months. We want to have enough calories at the end of the program to make this sustainable in the long term. Over the 16 weeks, for Dawn, we went as low as 1,700 calories, and for Kathy, as low as 1,300, mainly pulling from carbohydrates.
Kathy, if you could describe, if you remember how many calories or the food you're eating in the beginning, can you tell us a little bit about that? Do you remember the numbers or like what the meals were looking like at the time and how you felt like right in the beginning of the program?
Well, I was completely overwhelmed by the food. My biggest thing was realizing that carbs are not bad. Like you can eat carbs. Like I didn't for a long time. I totally limited my carbs. So just transitioning into all the food and the carbs and the healthy, clean eating is good for you. Yeah, it took me a while. It it took me a good couple weeks before realizing that I have to trust this process for sure. It's amazing once you do turn that corner, how much better you feel, and you know this is the right program, and the knowledge and everything you guys provided for us was amazing.
What are 5 nutritional tips, Dawn, you could give to guys that will allow them to go from that 25% to 7%? So 5 tips that come up to your mind.
Yeah, definitely tracking the calories and the right calories to do that. And I was never hungry. I can tell you that much. But yet it got down, I think is only maybe around 1,800 calories was as low as my calorie count I got to. Prioritizing the clean protein over that, and with that, but also then making sure the steps, the hydration, the sleep. Just the biggest thing is, when Kathy found out she can have, pizza and oatmeal and the food is, so many people automatically assume like, oh, are you, eating 1,000 calories, or what do you miss about, like, we eat better and more. Actually, we're probably, well, without a doubt, we have better, obviously, nutrition now, but we're actually more structured with our meals and eating better quantity and quality of food and everything else. And so really there was, short of cutting out alcohol, I can't think of anything else that we've cut out of our diet. I mean, if there is something that you want, you adjust for it accordingly. And I think using the example that you guys always talk about in your coaching calls of kind of either your calorie bank account or your calorie credit card, it's like if it's going to be 2,000 calories or 1,900 or whatever it is, making the most of those calories and having some of the examples of maybe on one side it's a large fry, a large hamburger, and a Coke for 2,000 calories, or on the other side there's 3 pounds of food of chicken breasts or lean meat or just everything else. And so, which is so cool, I think, also about the plan that you provide is you give us that foundation. So then I've taken it and I've substituted instead of some of the chocolate caramel protein powder or whatever to go in there to have that, I've done like strawberry or anything else. And so I really, with the oats and the baking powder to go in there, it's really a good foundation that you can add in whatever other flavors.
I remember this. I told Don we want to take a diet break, and he's like, can I get my oatmeal back? I was like, let's put it back in there, Don, don't worry about it.
Let me know, guys, for you, in terms of your nutritional biochemistry, let me know in the comments how much weight you lost. What was your starting calories and what was your final calories? And if you can give more context of your age, weight, and height, I think that information will give people a clear indication of how many calories you should truly be eating. Leave that in the comment section down below. And if you guys are enjoying the video, leaving it with a gentle thumbs up, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's move on. Step number 2, the most underrated cardio routine. With both Kathy and Dawn being in their 50s, running or doing high intensity interval training is just not sustainable. I know rucking is a big thing that everyone's doing, but let me tell you exactly what they did to get lean.
So both of you were seeing consistent result in terms of fat loss every week. What cardio did you do to lose belly fat?
I would do incline on the treadmill. So that by far, to do that hiking on the treadmill, as high as 15%, and in some cases try to get 4 miles an hour on 15%. If anyone thinks that that's not going to get your heart rate up, I challenge them to try it. But I also would do on some of my walks, I started with a weighted vest. So between the weighted vest, having that on, because at some point I got so efficient at even walking that it just was not even barely getting my heart rate, up at all. So doing the weighted vest and then doing cardio on the treadmill on the incline really made a difference.
Well, as Dr. Z knows, I wasn't really big on the cardio part of it, but it was also just on the incline on the treadmill, watching a show. Frankly,
I was very loose on my cardio. I think the most time I would do is maybe 2 days of cardio, and it was a 30 to 45 minutes. So the this notion that you just need to pound hours on a treadmill or a track or run. It really isn't. And I think probably the biggest thing that helped me is when one of our calls, you had the chart of kind of the ideal zone, target heart rate zones for each particular, whether it's burning carbs or fat or anything else. And that it's work smart, not hard. Whether we even are on vacation or, I didn't get my steps in. And that was one thing that even before I go to bed, we'd be like, I'm 1,000 short or whatever else. And I remember one of the resorts we were at, I would literally, when it was raining out, I would literally walk the halls and up the stairs and walk the halls and up the stairs and, just walk the hotel hallways to get that in. And I think that is probably, just another piece of the puzzle. They're all building foundation, all a good foundation to build off of, but getting the steps in, there's just no substitute for that.
Do you guys remember how many steps you guys were at, like your range? Maybe you, Kathy, do you remember what your step range was that, the targets you were meant to hit?
At the beginning, I know it was only 8,000. And then I think I ended between 14 and 15,000.
Okay.
And now I try to hit the 14. It's just kind of my
sweet spot
daily. Yeah.
I started at 10,000 on the first initial call. Got as maybe high as 18,000 in terms of what was my goal. And I consistently, I'm probably still now at least 18 to some days I'm 22,000, depending on what else I have going on, but always at least pretty much 17,000. There was a couple days just when traveling, but I would still walk in the airport. But we were actually driving just one day last week. I was like at 13,000, but what I ended up doing then is I ended up walking more of those additional days. So I always try to look at it as a 7-day average, because you just I don't ever want to not have my goal 2 days in a row. And so whatever I have to do to kind of get back on track that next day or then that third day. But there's been days or weeks where I've had to do, I wanted to do 25,000 on a Saturday, because I was like my long day.
Before I move over into step number 3, if you want to have a similar transformation to Don and Kathy, I wanted to tell you a little bit about Sculpt by Science. The best way I can describe what we do is that we're Medicine 3.0. Our success rates are at 99%, and I'm going to tell you why. Medicine 2.0 is involved with you're not feeling well, you go to the doctor, you tell them the symptoms you're feeling, and based off of that info, just based off what you tell them, they give you some medication and you're well on your way. And loosely they'll say, hey, improve your training and diet, but they don't tell you exactly how. With what we do at Sculpt by Science, we go through your entire life with a fine-tooth comb. We look at what's happening under the hood, looking at your blood panel of what you've done. We look at your day-to-day lifestyle. We figure out what you're doing, how you're doing it, and what you're putting into your body. And our objective here is to help you live longer, for you to move faster, and for you to be younger. Yes, getting a six-pack is a byproduct of what we do. But if you're the person who's a CEO, and that's the clients like Don and Kathy, you're an executive, or you're a doctor, those are the clients that usually work with us. We're a premium product. So this is usually what people feel. They're low on energy, they're dealing with a lot of brain fog, their confidence is shattered, and they've tried everything. They have tried the keto diet, paleo, they've tried Weight Watchers, they've counted calories, Ozempic. All the things that they've tried have not helped them. And that's why I consider us, in case of emergency, break glass. If you're that person who this is your last chance, this is the last thing you want to do, I highly recommend you apply to work with us. Our clients are 35 years old and above. According to the data, I highly recommend you apply to work with us and my team of medical doctors. Fill out the application to work with us. You'll be able to either speak to myself, my COO, who's my wife, Anastasia Diamonds. We are a family-run business, or the team of doctors that I have. However, if you have not tried any of the free advice that I've given on my YouTube channel, first consume that. I have 800 free videos for you to go through. If you're seeing results, right? You're seeing weight loss. You're seeing everything you've wanted. do not apply. Please save our time. We're a small run family business. If you're someone who still thinks there's more things that they can do on their own, or you only want accountability, do not apply. But if you feel that I've spoken to you here, I highly recommend you apply for you to have a similar transformation to Don and Kathy. Let's move on into step number 3. Step number 3, resistance training. Losing weight, it's easy, but losing fat requires skill. And to prevent muscle loss, right, we just want fat tissue. And to keep the muscle, we need to do a periodized resistance training program. With Don, we started him on a 5-day periodized resistance training program. Day 1, he did upper body, which I'm showing you on the screen now. You're free to take screenshots. Day 2, he did his lower body. Day 3, push. Day 4, pull, and day 5, legs. With Kathy, her goals, she got amazing results in only training 4 days in the week. And she basically did an upper, lower program. So it doesn't matter if you're training 3 sessions or 6, as long as you can do it consistently. But have a listen to what Don and Kathy had to say.
And the weight training, I actually took the weight training quite seriously about it, and always wanted to make sure I was, rather than just, going in and spending an hour and getting out, was really trying to have that mind-muscle connection. I actually added muscle while I was dropping fat, and with the definition, I never regret going to the gym to get a training session in. Some days it's like, oh, I feel like I need to get there. I've put it off later in the day, but once I get there and I'm on my way, when I finish, it's like, yeah, I'm so glad I went there, because it's a great feeling.
Like you guys know too, I was the biggest naysayer, so it was just kind of like I let him do all the legwork and then watched him and feel better. Was my, yes, the results were there too, but he felt better, he slept better, it was just a lot. It was I noticed a lot more than just the weight coming off with him and him getting stronger.
Do you feel those same things translated to you at the end?
I do. Yep. It took me a bit to get all in 100%, but once I trust the process, like I think I've said 800 times, but once I got my mindset around it, I definitely feel much better.
I want to thank you guys so much for entrusting in us, me and Dr. Zeno.
Yeah, we enjoyed it.
Yes.
We've been huge fans.
Yes, and thank you for all your support.